Hello, I'm Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this series is called Spiritual Dilemmas. And the intention of this series is to support and empower you to be curious about who you are as a spiritual being and as a human being. Now, most of us ignore the fact that we're a spiritual being until we have some crises or some issues in our life that demand some level of awareness to something beyond ourselves, or beyond our physical self. One of the things that comes up quite often in conversations about spirituality is the notion of, if we focus on our spirituality and we're navel gazing and we become so self-absorbed, aren't we being selfish? Aren't we taking time away from others in order to be self-fulfilled? And is self-fulfillment an aspect of selfishness? Now, this is a big dilemma for people. And I'm not just making that up. This is a big dilemma for people to say, well, if I spend so much time meditating, or I'm taking myself away from my children or my partner or my work, then I'm being selfish. And they then don't do it. They don't do their meditations or their spiritual practices, or they don't take the time to read or to take care of themselves on all levels, basically. So in a sense, if we don't take care of our physical self, we're not taking care of our spiritual self or our emotional self or mental self. We're ignoring those elements. So for me, there's always this integration of the spiritual with every other aspect of our life. Gracie's wanting attention right now, so you might hear a little bit of distraction, but she's going to be okay until we're done. So when am I being selfish, and when am I being selfless? And the question is that regardless of, if I'm being selfless, that can be interpreted in two ways. It can be interpreted as, I'm not at all interested in my self needs, my wants, my desires. I'm only concerned with you. Now, that can be done on two levels. It can be done from a place of heartfulness and compassion and kindness and generosity of spirit. Or it can come from a place of what would be called servitude, that I'm doing this to get something. If I'm a good person, I'm racking up karma points, I'm going to go to heaven, those kinds of things. Now, that means I'm doing it for selfish reasons. So that's kind of a dilemma, isn't it? We all want to go to heaven. And am I being kind, or am I being good for goodness sake or for kindness sake because it feels good to be kind? Or am I being kind and generous because it's what's expected of a spiritual person? Now, I'll tell you, and I suspect, I'm saying this as if you don't know yourself, but I suspect that you know that conversation and that dilemma. Am I being a kind person, or am I being a person that's trying to get something? You know, a lot of my spiritual development really has happened in the last 10 years. And in that 10 years, that's when I've started to look at kindness and generosity, not from a giving or of servitude, trying to get something back, but from a sense of, I really enjoy that experience of generosity. It really feels good, and I want to do more of that. I want to do more of that because it feels good. And that's, in a way, just as selfish, if you will, as trying to get something and try to take something. So quite often, if I'm being generous and a person goes, no, you don't have to do that. And I go, no, I want to do it because I want to do it. It feels good to me to be in that state of kindness. It's not about, am I selfish, am I selfless? It's about, I like that feeling. And we're always wanting to get that feeling, whether we do it through selfish activities or selfish issues, conditions, or selfless. We're still trying to get to that place of self-nourishment. And so we can question that and go, if I'm selfish, there's something I'm trying to take, and it comes from, for me, when I feel that selfishness, it comes from a place of lack. It feels constrained, that I'm trying to get something I don't yet have, or I'm trying to get something that I think I'm lacking. And so I want that. I want it, may take it from somebody else. But in the condition of that other place that I'm looking for, that condition of generosity of spirit, I call it, I see there's nothing that I'm losing. There's nothing to give up. There's nothing that I lack. It just is this place of fun for me. And I want to cultivate that more and more. So for me, talking to you, it's my request is to have you potentially question, where are you feeling selfish or constrained or coming from lack, and where are you coming from that place of joy, of generosity of spirit, and that you're able to give, not from a place of I give so that somebody will give back to me, or I give so that I rack up good points with other people, but I give because it's fun to give. So check that out with yourself, and I'd love to hear from you. So leave comments below about your experience with this dilemma of selflessness and selfishness, and maybe some other words that work for you that you're challenged by in this conversation. I'd love to hear from you. And please feel free to subscribe, because I'd love you to be here. If I know you're here, then I know I'm talking to you, and that makes me really happy. All right. Thanks a bunch for being here. Bye for now.